New Year! And welcome to More Time in the Kitchen. So if, like me, you've eaten about 10 times your own body weight in junk food over the festive period and you're maybe thinking of cutting it down a little bit in January, maybe just eating healthier, maybe cutting down on meat or dairy, then these mini chickpea burgers are a great little lunch. So mini burgers are a pretty popular addition to bento boxes, but as we know, they're not the healthiest. So I thought I would mix things up a little for January and make these healthy vegan burgers. Now these are chickpea burgers and they are spiced with cumin and coriander. They taste a little bit like an onion bhaji and they go very nicely with some sriracha if you like it a little spicy. So without further ado, let's get cooking. So to make this recipe you will need cooking oil. Now I've got avocado oil here because it's a bit healthier, but it can be quite expensive, so if you don't want to break the bank then you're welcome to use whatever kind of cooking oil you usually use. You'll also need an onion chopped fine, 2 tins of chickpeas, about a tablespoon of lemon juice, a small bunch of coriander, half a teaspoon of cumin and half a teaspoon of coriander, 2 garlic cloves, 2 tablespoons of plain flour, plus extra for coating the burgers. So we're going to start by frying off the onion in a little oil. This is to soften up the onion and also so that we don't get raw onion breath, because nobody wants that. So we'll just heat our frying pan to a medium-high temperature and let the oil heat up. And we'll fry those for 2 minutes until they're softened. Then we can add in the garlic, which I've just very roughly chopped, and fry that for a final minute. And once those are done, we can just move it to the side and leave it to cool. Next, we're going to shove all of our ingredients into a blender and let it do the work. Now, if you don't have a blender, you can potentially use a potato masher. Just make sure that everything's very well chopped up, it's chopped up really finely, and just be aware that it is going to be a bit chunkier and they might not hold together as well, but it is a possibility if you've not got a blender. Anyway, I do have a blender, so let's shove everything in. So I've drained off my chickpeas, so we can add those in. Last one, come on. Get that hand. And my bunch of coriander, I'm just going to use a pair of scissors to snip that in. Just makes it a little bit faster than chopping it with a knife. And just chop it directly into the blender. Minimal fuss. Then we can add our flour and our spices. I'm just going to ease them in with the spoon so that they don't go flying over the edge of the blender. And then I can add the onions and the garlic, which have cooled down enough now. Last but not least, we'll add that bit of lemon juice. Then stick the lid on and let her rip. And after a few minutes, you should end up with a paste like this. And before we go rolling this into patties, you'll just want to remember to take the blade out, because if it's got human blood in it, it's not going to be vegan anymore. And we'll just scrape off the excess so as not to lose any of the mixture. Now we're going to roll our sleeves up and get our hands stuck in. So I've got here a plate just covered in plain flour and obviously the batter next to me, and I'm going to just stick my hands in the flour to give them a little bit of a coating so that the mixture is not going to stick too much to my hands. And then we're going to take out about 1/8 of that mixture. By the way, no matter how much flour you put on, it is going to be quite a sticky mixture. So, don't be Don't be surprised. Okay, so we're first going to form that into a ball. Put a little bit more flour on my hands. Yep. Form that into a ball, and I'm just going to press it down into a patty shape. And then I'll just pop that onto the plate, and we will move on to another one. And roll it into a ball first, and then just press it down. 2. And you're just going to carry on doing that until you've got 8 mini burgers. Oh, I forgot to mention, you'll also want to roll them in the flour. I'll sprinkle some on top, and this will just give it a nice crispy coating when you fry them. And now, well, first you're going to wash your hands, then you're going to pop them in the fridge. So they need to go in the fridge because, as you'll have felt if you do make them at home yourself, the mixture is quite loose and that needs a bit of time to chill, to firm up before we actually cook them. Otherwise they're going to fall apart. So minimum time that you want them in the fridge is half an hour. You can keep them in there for longer, and you can also actually freeze them as well. So these are great to make up as a batch and then freeze them and just have something that you can cook up as a easy lunch or addition to your bento box in the future. So there's a tip for you. Anyway, let's pop these away. Now that your burgers have had time to chill, we're going to heat up our frying pan on a medium-high heat, and I'm going to add enough oil to coat the pan and then some. So that's about enough there. So it's very well coated. And once the pan is nice and hot, I'm going to add just 4 at a time. And this is quite a big frying pan, so make sure however many you're adding that you're not overloading the frying pan. You're still going to have plenty of room to flip them upside down. And remember to be gentle when you're picking them up because they're still a little bit more soft than normal mince patties. Yeah, should get a nice sizzle. And we're going to let those cook for 3 or 4 minutes either side until we've got a nice crispy coating. So now my burgers are looking nice and crispy, and I've got here a plate which I've put some kitchen roll on, and this is just going to soak up any extra oil that's on the burgers. There you go. 1, 2, 3, 4 tasty vegan burgers. Now, you can see that they look a little green in colour. Now, that's because I've used the avocado oil. If you use another kind of oil, they're not going to come out quite so green. But I quite like the green colour because it kind of showcases the fact that it's got coriander in it. So I'm happy with that colour. If you don't want green burgers, then don't use avocado oil. So there are loads of different ways that you could potentially present your mini burgers. You could have them, in mini burger buns with all the burger trimmings, tomato, avocado, vegan cheese, whatever you want. You could maybe have that with some sweet potato wedges or sweet potato fries. That might be a nice idea. Now, what I've got in my bento box, however, is I've got some rice, the burgers obviously, then down at the bottom I've got some celery that I filled with peanut butter, and that makes a surprisingly tasty snack. I've also got some little tomatoes. Now this mess down at the bottom is vegan cheese flowers. It was supposed to be vegan cheese flowers, but unfortunately they didn't turn out right. They didn't turn out like, you know, like the sort of ham flowers and cheese flowers that you get in other bento boxes, because the structure of the vegan cheese just wasn't right. So I thought, should I try and swap this out with something? Should I try, you know, find something in my fridge? But I thought, you know, I'll just be honest and I'll share my mistake with you guys, so that you too can learn that you can't make cheese flowers out of vegan cheese. It's also a good lesson in making your recipe in full before you film it. There you go anyway, you live and learn. So anyway, we're gonna finish this off with a little sriracha. So I'm just gonna do a zigzag pattern over the burgers. Et voila! So as always, thanks so much for watching, and if you do give this recipe a go at home, then make sure to take a picture and at me on Instagram or Twitter. And if you liked it, give us a like, give us a comment and subscribe for future content. And I wish you all a very happy 2019, but for now, cheerio, bye! Happy New Year! That's great. It's alright, got a bag of 50.